wanted to share with you, and what I'm going to do is just read a bunch of different little things here and talk about each piece. I wanted to talk with you a little bit about some of the process, and I don't mean the actual sitting down to write process, but when you're writing a book, when you're publishing a book, there's so many different layers of this. And one was, as I was writing this, I had actually given up hope many years ago of ever getting a novel published. Despite our circumvent the gatekeepers, I really was at that point where, well, I just do this thing, but it's not happening. So as part of that, it was very freeing. So when I would come to places where I had to use lyrics of songs, Adam is a musician. He's an ex-punk rocker, and his band is still big in Central Europe. But so I would have lyrics of various people's songs. I just throw in because I was just busy writing it. And then when I realized that the book was going to actually be published, then you run into problems with things called rights, as some of you know very well. You can't just dump people's lyrics into your work. You have to get permission for that, and it's a challenging thing to do. So, for instance, in that passage I just read, there was a little snippet of Bob Dylan singing in Adam's Dream. Well, originally it was a Bob Dylan song. Well, I couldn't call up Bob Dylan and say, hey, Bob, can I use that song? So I thought, well, Adam is actually a songwriter. I'll just use his own lyrics. So I wrote all the lyrics for the various songs that he sings. And that was a fun thing. But then I ran into it later on. I was really deep in the process. I think we were all ready to copy editing somewhere along the line. And I realized I had a poem, a Rumi poem, that comes later in the book. What happens is Kira is involved emotionally with her yoga teacher, and he's somewhat involved with her as well. And so at one point, and I'll read you the passage, the yoga teacher, Ravi, leaves a note on her door, and he quotes Rumi. So I had just taken, a quote from Rumi that I felt was appropriate and put it in. Now what happened was, I couldn't just use that. I actually went through the whole process of trying to get the Coleman Banks translation of that Rumi poem, and they wanted to charge me money. And I thought, you know what, I'm not going to pay that. I'm just going to write my own Rumi poem. So what I did was I wrote a poem that I thought sounded like Rumi, and then I put it up on Facebook, and I said, does anyone know who wrote this? Just to see what my friends' responses would be. And people were writing back there saying, oh, that sounds like Rumi, or it might be Basho, and I knew I was on the right track. So anyway, that's the piece in here. And I'm going to share with you, first of all, the little section. It's just a very brief section where this comes from. And well, first I'll read you the Rumi poem that was going to be in there. Okay, it's a very famous thing. I think I pulled it from I know where I pulled it from. I pulled it from a greeting card that I had gotten up in Harbin Hot Springs. Okay, so you probably heard it. There's some kiss we want with our whole lives, a touch of spirit upon the body. Seawater begs the pearl to break its shell, and the lily, how passionately it needs some wild darling. At night I open the window and ask the moon to come and press its face against mine. Breathe into me, close the language door and open the love window. The moon won't use the door, only the window. Rumi. Okay, so that's the poem that Ravi, Kira's yoga teacher, leaves on her door in this section. So I'm going to read the section, including what I ended up with. What happens is Polly and Kira arrive home, and Polly, the 13-year-old, finds this on the door. A flock of crows had set up camp on the light post across the street. They cawed loudly when Polly and her mom drove up. A bad omen for a bad day. We're in Polly's point of view, by the way. Polly was the first up the stairs to the house, her mom moving slowly. Taped to the door, a folded in half piece of paper torn from a yellow legal pad, and on it, in block letters, Kira. Mommy, is this for you? What? Holly opened the paper and read it. Open wide your heart, lover, as you would open the window to the shining day. In the courtyard below, the peacock's blue tail spreads wide. The peahen saunters brown. Fling yourself through the window, beloved, I will catch you. I would join with you as flame joins flame, in a single surge of light, of heat, heart to heart, and all around the world fades away. Open the love window, Arshaya, my heart, Ravi. How'd I do? I'm more proud of that than almost anything. I think it passes. So.
It's Rumi on steroids.
Pardon?
It's Rumi on steroids.
Yeah, Rumi. Definitely. I figured if there were peacocks and love windows and flames, then, basically I have it covered. Okay.